Welcome to the Weekly Gaming Blast, the podcast that brings you the latest gaming news unhinged. I am AkibanaZero.
And I'm Rue the Gamer. Hello.
We are bringing to you the usual foray of news and controversies, but of course, the big stuff we're going to be talking about today is Sony at Paris Games Week and, of course, Blizzcon 2017. If you want to get to the big discussions, you can click on the timestamp links that are going to be in the description of this video on YouTube. But before all of that, let's check in with Rue. How are you doing, man?
I am very well, thank you. Very tired, which is my fault. Well, it's my fault and Brawlhalla's fault. But we'll blame Brawlhalla. It's the game's fault, not mine.
You blame Brawlhalla. You've been playing that a lot lately, right? So what do you think of it?
I absolutely love it. It is scratching an itch that's been left by not being able to play Smash Brothers.
So you were a Smash Brothers player?
Oh, most definitely. Played it quite religiously on Wii U. And this is definitely in that vein, if not exactly the same. It's a little bit more strategic with items than Smash. And it's free to play as well. So I so far haven't spent any money on it. And yet I've had so many hours worth of enjoyment already.
It's really cool, really cool. I gave that a bit of a spin on Steam for a bit. It was pretty fun. I'm not that big on these Smash games, but I think that might be a game I could get into a little bit once I have a bit of time.
Yeah, it's just the big thing to kind of get your head around playing that game is the fact that every character has two weapons that they can use. So like I main Nyx, and Nyx has a scythe and twin guns, and it's just knowing when to throw those weapons away and pick up the other weapon. That's that once you've got your head around that, it becomes so much more enjoyable and so much more frenetic to play.
Yeah, that is definitely the interesting point about Brawlhalla. I played Core. I don't know if you've run into him.
Not yet.
He's kind of like he's a stone kind of guy character, and he has these two fists and he does a lot of throws. Like he's like a grappler, and he also has his other weapon is a hammer, like one of those long hammers.
Yeah, so yeah, the gauntlets and the hammer are his loadout. I haven't come across him yet. He must just not be particularly high tier because nobody seems to play him.
I enjoyed playing him a lot. I really loved pinging people with grabbing people with the grab that he has, and I also loved hitting people with the hammer. It just like makes them fly all across the screen, and it's always so satisfying when it happens.
It's a very enjoyable game, and not to mention it's very snappy. So let's just say, because I mostly do online matchmaker. You jump into a match, 4 minutes, done, kind of results screen, and then bam, you're straight in another 4-minute match. It literally just goes, here's a match, now here's a match, now here's a match, now here's a match. And as opposed to Smash Brothers, the online is not only flawless and very minimal lag, but also it's a very robust and really well designed online experience. It's essentially Smash Brothers, but with bits added that make it better. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And the fact I've spent no money on it, and I've already spent so many hours on it.
And it has a feature in the results screen that I'm like, why doesn't every other fighting game, or any other game for that matter, have this? You click a button to GG.
Yes.
Such a simple thing.
And you can decide whether the players you were playing with were shitty or not, and then GG them if they're not.
Or, you know, just GG because you're a nice dude and you want to say nice things to people, right? Or is that just me? Okay.
Well, I say GG a lot more than any other player seems to online, it seems. But if someone's like a really, really kind of arsehole-ish player, I definitely won't GG them for that.
And that's fine. I mean, it's either you GG or nothing. It's not like some other games like Hearthstone where sometimes you would go sorry in a very sarcastic way to them with the emotes because you have options. It only has two options for you. You either GG or you don't. And that's that.
Yeah, you either GG or just click on next, which takes you to the next match. That's quick fire too. because it's button press, GG, button press, next match. Like, it's just so quick fire and so snappy. It's so well made for a free to play game. It's so well made.
Yeah, these free to play games are starting to really like overtake this. They're starting to put in these really awesome ideas into the games industry. I'm really loving, and that's why I like supporting this stuff a lot. So yeah, since we're kind of in a hurry as well, because you gotta stream soon.
There's no massive rush on that. I can stream whenever I want, to be fair.
Well, that's fine. I mean, let's not keep your audience waiting, right? Let's just dive into this last week's controversies, which, to be honest, they're not really that big, but hey, they're kind of amusing. So let's start with Activision, because they're at it again. Activision seems to really love their microtransactions because recently they applied for another patent, and that patent has to do again with microtransactions, but in a sneakier sort of way. They filed for a patent for a system that allows players to stream the game within the game they're playing within the game that they're playing, or stream events. Which, to be honest, this sounds like a pretty cool technology, because it doesn't stream the same way we do, where we're recording a video and that gets uploaded or something. They use the actual game engine to recreate the session, so that way it doesn't spend a lot of data to transmit to other players the stream. But what is sneaky about it is the metadata. The metadata of the game, like things like loadouts, the guns, and the equipment you're wearing, the streamer can actually show those off on their stream, and if a player really wants to buy that shiny new gun or that weapon or whatever you're holding, they can click and buy it instantly within the game. Like, that's the idea behind it.
Let's not split hairs on this one. This is only a very slight removal from the previous insidious patent that they got approved. It's not very far removed, is it now? It's still doing the same insidious sort of stuff. In fact, I'd say the previous patent was worse, but the fact that they panicked, said, oh, this previous patent wasn't in any games, and now they filed for a patent that's just as bad, just not quite as insidious. Activision have learnt nothing.
Well, they've learned how to actually get more money out of us and out of people who are not as informed or are quite snappy with their purchasing decisions. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but yeah.
This is where it's all been heading. Microtransactions, loot boxes, etc. This is where it's been heading. This sort of thing. And there needs to be an up in arms about this. But what's going to happen is what always happens with the games industry, or the games consumer public, rather, industry. They will look at this new patent and go, oh, that's not quite as bad as the old patent. And then they will accept it because it's not the worst thing it could be.
The lesser of two evils?
Which, that doesn't work. It still means they're getting away with something they shouldn't. Just someone please stop the industry from doing this.
Well, that's the sad thing. And I mean, I actually got even sadder today because I read something on Reddit that really, really resonated with me, and it probably will resonate with you, okay? Because you're an old school gamer as well. This guy on Reddit was like, I am so happy and relieved to have lived in a time when I didn't have to start off by experiencing an industry that uses loot boxes, microtransactions, DLC, and all of that. I'm happy, he said, that I got to play games when they would just come out, and that's what it is that you got. A game that was made and done and moving on to the next title.
I agree. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that there are areas of the industry that are still doing that. Like, like to use a very, very, very good example, Super Mario Odyssey, Nintendo. That is a robust game. That is a full game twice over by modern gaming industry standards, because I've now done the main story, and the end and the post credits part of that game is huge, massive, and I had so much fun and spent so much time just getting to the story at the end of the end credits, and it's still going. It's fantastic. But most of the industry isn't like that.
Yeah,
Even
unfortunately.
Nintendo isn't like that
Yeah,
sometimes.
well, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, Nintendo have been dabbling a little in these areas of microtransaction DLC. I mean, I still believe that Breath of the Wild's DLC was questionable. Like, hard mode for DLC, really? Was that really necessary? And that kind of just screamed, we didn't have time to implement it, so let's just chuck it into the DLC section and get it over with.
But like Breath of the Wild was in development for like 35 years.
Yeah,
they had time.
They had the time, but I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is the wave of the industry, and yeah, either we have to accept it or we have to do things that that send a loud and clear message to developers that, guys, this isn't exactly what we want, so, you know, ease up on how much you want to, you know, suck us dry. Don't take that out of context.
No, leave that completely in context, please. But going from one circumstance in terms of just weirdness to another, Akibana, do you remember when you were in school and you were in history and you were studying World War II, and they told you about the day when the loot boxes fell on Normandy Beach? Giving the Allied army a boost in armor and additional ammo and new weapons, which really turned the tide of World War II. Do you remember that? Because I sure as hell don't. So why is it in COD World War II?
I don't remember it either, but I'm pretty sure if the people who fought the war back then would wish they had loot boxes like that.
Yeah. To be fair, that would have made that would have really, you know, put the willies up Hitler, wouldn't it?
It would have.
If like the Allied army arrived on Normandy Beach, then all of a sudden they got airdropped loot boxes worth of new weapons. Like that would have, wow, like World War II would have been very different. But what are you doing? I'm pretty sure this is Activision, isn't it? Again,
it is. Call of Duty, Activision, right over there.
What are you doing? Do you like? You have made World War II, like COD World War II, to complete with Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 was relatively historically accurate. You have, quite honestly, messed up by putting microtransactions and loot boxes in World War II.
You're messing with history, Activision. Yeah. Wake up.
It doesn't make any sense. And the fact that they've done such bull-headed, like bull in a china shop style things, like they've put achievements linked to watching people undo loot boxes. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've read about it, and it's just absolutely hilarious to me. Like, yeah, hey, watch me unlock my loot box, everybody. Hey.
On launch day, they had an achievement where to acquire the achievement, you had to watch 3 people unlock loot boxes in the lobby area, which was Normandy Beach. Like, Activision, you cannot be trusted. You can't. You say one thing and you do completely the other. You can't be trusted to do microtransactions if you're going to do them in such a insidiously manipulative way.
Well, I'm going to be absolutely fair here and say it's Call of Duty, so I don't know, maybe that crowd likes this kind of thing, you know, this showboating kind of, hey, look at how much money I have kind of deal. I don't know, whatever. I mean, I don't mean to criticize the COD fans out there, but honestly, I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of different kinds of DLC and loot box kind of stuff happening in COD, so it's like, hey, maybe this is what they wanted? I don't know. But to be completely fair, this is going to produce a whole new level of schoolyard bullying. Because you remember those kids that used to show off their new shit, their new cool stuff, and how they got beaten up in the back alley. Yeah, it's gonna happen somehow in COD.
Just please, Activision, just stop.
Yeah. I mean, this is getting like whole other, like, to be serious, like this is getting like a whole other levels of ridicule right over here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, loot boxes are and DLC. I'm all for it as long as there's like some kind of cap to the logic of how it's all done. I mean, if you're always looking for new ways to get people to buy stuff and all that, I mean, look at the Street Fighter V Red Bull thing. I mean, that to me was like also equally ridiculous. It's like you want to buy a can of Red Bull and now you've got Ryu with Red Bull plastered all over his sleeves or whatever. I mean, this is not the future that I envisioned for gaming at all. And this was something that worried me back when all of these things were being envisioned and being foretold.
I mean, and I know that this is me getting suckered into something. I must admit, the Red Bull outfit for Balrog looks quite good.
Go buy yourself some Red Bull then, Rue.
I don't drink Red Bull though. I don't. And last time I drank Red Bull, I couldn't sleep.
That's the problem. It's like, and see, that's kind of a little bit of that, like, it kind of contradicts itself. It's like Street Fighters are supposed to be these healthy people who are strong and fit and can do like superhuman fighting stuff, but they want you to drink one of the most unhealthy things that exist on the market. I look at it, like, look at how far I'm willing to go with my logic here.
It's just it. But this is what's happening now. Because we've allowed, as an industry, we've allowed these things to happen. And because we, in our complacency, have allowed them to continue, they're only going to get worse as developers work out new and more interesting ways to get more money out of us.
Can't wait to see what's up next. Not. Well, anyway, let's go to some happier pasture, shall we? Let's look at some greener greener on the other side kind of situations, okay? Breath of the Wild Champion Amiibos finally have been dated for November 10th? November 10th, yeah. Right. And this includes, I have no idea what these champions are called. I completely forget. But what happens, like, when you connect your Amiibo, what happens in Breath of the Wild is you get a helm that is themed after the war beast, that what were they, a spirit beast that the champion was piloting or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty cool. They have some kind of special effects in the game. So yeah, they look pretty awesome. What do you think?
Yeah, to be fair, one thing about Amiibo that a lot of people, quite a lot of people have spoken about, but it doesn't seem to be widely spoken about, as in like openly in media. Amiibo quality has got significantly better since Amiibo began. I mean, we're talking a lot better. And the 4 champions all look fantastic. And the unlocks are fair enough. I mean, it's not quite the level I'm expecting by now from Amiibo. I was expecting a lot more functionality from Amiibo by now. But it's good. Like what you get from the champions, and not to mention the champions are really beautiful figurines, and that's the thing I do like, and that's the reason I still do get Amiibo, is because the figurines have become such a high quality now that they are just a really good figurine.
Yeah, I like the quality, yeah. The way they look a lot. They're crazy good.
And they look fantastic, and some of them have really great levels of functionality in the games, therefore. So, like the Mario ones for Odyssey, unlocking the outfits. So you could have like a Luigi outfit or a Wario outfit. So, which in all fairness doesn't change the way the game plays, but my God, it's fun running around in stupid outfits in that game. But yeah, I must admit, I'm not going to be getting the Champion Amiibo for Breath of the Wild because, as you well know and is well documented by now, I'm not the biggest fan of Breath of the Wild. So there's no point me getting it. But I know people that are excited about them, and they have really good reason to be.
I'll do admit that I'm not generally a figurines kind of guy. I mean, I get very specific ones and in very, 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 very small quantities. But if there's one that's tempting me a lot, it's Bowser as a groom.
Oh, Pimp Bowser.
Pimp Bowser. That is a ridiculously good looking amiibo. It's incredibly awesome.
He looks fantastic. And also Mario looks really great in a white suit as well.
All three of them, actually, to be fair. The wedding themed amiibos look incredibly amazing, but Bowser is just, oh my god, that design is crazy good.
It's a sign that Nintendo know what they're doing. They always have done, to be fair. I mean, there's been times they've had really weird lapses of judgment, but most of the time, yeah. Nintendo have been on it.
Yeah.
And speaking of being on it, and I think we speak about this game almost every single week. Dragon Ball FighterZ had a story trailer out very recently. Rather than talking about the story trailer, I'm going to talk about something to do with it. But in terms of story trailer, I would recommend Akibana's actual reaction video to that, because you've done a reaction to that.
Not
trailer, haven't you?
Yet.
Oh, you need to.
I have. That's why I haven't watched the actual trailer yet. That's why I haven't watched it, because I wanted the reaction.
So I won't talk about the actual content of the trailer, because I don't want to ruin it for you. And also, I would really recommend watching Akibana's reaction video when that comes out. But it's been confirmed now that Android 21 is the antagonist, pretty much. And hopefully that means she's playable, because Android 21 looks awesome. In fact, I'm really tempted to do a gender bend cosplay of that, but that's a completely different thing. But Android 21 looks absolutely incredible, and she is, if the trailer is to be believed, she is most definitely the antagonist of this game.
Which is pretty good. I mean, I kind of got a bit of an air of, you know, like she's a villain. And the way they've been, like, kind of showing her off made her look like she was really significant to the story. So I kind of, it didn't come as too much of a surprise for me that she's the antagonist. So it doesn't feel very spoilery about the trailer either. But it's an incredible design, and I'm hearing that Toriyama wants to actually use her in future Dragon Ball stories as well, which is an incredibly good sign.
I would love that, because she's such a great design. And also, to be fair, I probably won't play Dragon Ball with English voices. I'll probably play it with Japanese voices with subtitles. And her Japanese voice is just, it's so on it. Wait, obviously you'll see the trailer, but her voice is just on it. It's perfect.
And speaking still on Dragon Ball FighterZ, you were a bit disappointed recently from a rumor that didn't come to pass.
PTSD. Yeah, Bulma was accidentally listed as a playable character on PlayStation Network, I believe, on one of the PSN stores. I don't think it's ours. I think it was one of the European ones. But yeah, she was listed, and then they announced that it was a mistake. So I got very excited, because Bulma was one of my 3 picks I wanted to be in Dragon Ball FighterZ. One of them's confirmed, is now going to be there. Bulma was my second, and Videl was my third. So the fact that Bulma was accidentally leaked, but then turned out to not be leaked, is just like, oh my god, we were so close to having Bulma.
I think it would be absolutely silly if they didn't somehow, in some way, include her in the roster. I mean, she looks like she could be a character that you're like, it's unexpected for her to be doing fighting, but she has done some fighting in the past. Like, if you remember when she first met Goku when he was a kid, like, she used, like, she had these crazy guns and crazy gadgets, and she could actually hold her own. So I would expect her to be some kind of Kokonoe trap, Arxis trap style kind of character.
I would love that. If she used kind of Capsule Corp gadgets to fight with. Because in all fairness, a lot of characters in the game do not necessarily fight entirely themselves. So it's not an alien concept. Even within Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's not an alien concept.
Yeah, like a Capsule Corp turret right in front of her to zone.
Yeah.
Maybe toss like a grenade and like some other crazy weapon shit. That would be Like, that would be an amazing design, I think. I mean, Bulma would make
Mm.
a crazy good character.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And not to mention, I mean, spoilers, but spoilers for like 20 years, like 20, 30 years. So don't think it could be called spoilers at this point. But Bulma marries Vegeta.
Yeah.
So you could have some sort of team synergy thing with her, like you've got with Android 18 and Krillin, where like Android 18, one of her supers changes if Krillin's on the team as well, because they get married in the show and they team up on a super if he's on the team, which I think is fantastic, and that's a really nice little callback to
Oh,
the
that's
show.
a thing? I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Not Bulma, Android 18's level 3 super, where she summons Android 17 as well, and they shoot beams from both sides and blow up in the middle.
Yeah.
If Krillin is on her team and alive, it becomes Krillin and Android 18 instead of Android 17.
Whoa, that's some nice detail right over there.
It's possibly one of my favorite things in the game that they put into, which is just a neat little attention to detail thing. And it's also why my team is Android 18, Krillin, Android 16.
I don't know how they would change Vegeta's final flash, but pretty sure if Vegeta and Bulma are on the same team, then they could make Bulma's level 3 change somehow.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see. It's still exciting stuff happening with that game. I just can't wait.
January 26th.
Yep. Although I have to admit that I did cancel my collector's edition pre-order. I said so on Twitter as well, but it's not that I don't want to buy the game. I will. It's just I think it's kind of silly to release such an amazing package and not include the DLC, the season pass. Why?
I'm with you on that. The moment I heard the collector's edition didn't have the season pass in it, I'm like, okay, no, that's no longer worth the money.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I could get a Manga Dimensions Dragon Ball figurine for pretty much the same price as I'm buying the figurine plus the Fighters Edition, which is what I'm looking at right now to pre-order instead, which includes the season pass. And maybe I might get the Ultimate Edition, which includes the 11 tracks from the show, which would be amazing to hear these classic tracks playing in the game. But yeah, I think this is where they've stumbled a little bit, and this is probably more Bandai Namco than ArcSys, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, get your act together with this, guys, because yeah, that package is ridiculous. If it's like that expensive with no DLC, that's silly. But there is still hope for less silliness in the world, because there is a game out there, a card game that not a lot of people are playing, but they should, called Shadowverse. It recently is going into its 7th expansion, and they've recently announced with the expansion they'll be introducing some new things, like formats, in the same way that Hearthstone does. So for those who don't know what Shadowverse is a card game in the same vein of Hearthstone, but it's with anime with an anime art style. And it actually has a story mode, and it has loads of modes and pretty cool mechanics and concepts. I won't go too much into detail, but it's a good game. And this fact that these new announcements they've made show just how dedicated the team is to make a really, really robust experience. So they'll be introducing formats. Just like Hearthstone, it will have a standard format, which will only use the most recent expansions. And there'll be an unlimited format, which you can use any card from any expansion ever created. But on top of that, along with new mechanics and cards and all that kind of stuff, they'll be introducing a whole new class to the game. And I'm highlighting this because Blizzard have been very hesitant to do the same with Hearthstone. So yeah, Shadowverse, definitely a good game. If you've been looking into wanting to play a new card game and you're tired of Hearthstone, or you don't like Hearthstone, go give that a go. It's free to play, of course, and I think it's got a better model than Hearthstone has too.
Well, sadly, that's what happens when a business decides they want to be stubborn and not evolve, and then start to stagnate. You'll find that a competitor of theirs will do the things they're not willing to do and will move forwards and evolve. So if Blizzard with Hearthstone have decided that they want to, not change and keep everything the way it is because it all works fine and it's all great and it's all fine, you will find a competitor will rise up and say, actually, there's things they're doing that aren't right. Let's do it differently. And then they will get better because of it.
Exactly.
It's unfortunately the way it works. So there's no reason to be stubborn and stick your toes in the sand. No, not toes in the sand. That's not right. Toes in the sand sounds lovely. Head
It
in the
does.
sand.
Your head in the sand.
Toes in the sand would be lovely right now. But yeah, there's just no point. You've got to listen to the fans basically and evolve.
I agree. And like I said, I mean, if something is not working for, because there's a lot of people who are whining about Hearthstone right now. They're whining about a bunch of things. And honestly, we'll get a little bit into that when we talk about BlizzCon, because that has been an absolute disappointment for me. I'd say if you're tired of it, Shadowverse, guys. There's Shadowverse. There's Eternal, which is another amazing game that kind of blends Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering together. It's pretty cool. There's other games out there, guys. Go support them, because these devs deserve it. They're doing God's work, so to speak.
So, weird segue. Speaking of doing God's work, EA, you have listened for once, and I'm quite, well, I say listened. You've partially listened. And that is definitely a step forward. EA have responded to the controversy revolving around loot boxes by, in effect, easiest way to describe it, dialing it back a bit. They've altered it so that the higher level, the more important, the much more kind of game breaking, so to speak, boosts and upgrades are now only earnable by working through the game, as opposed to buying out of loot boxes, which would obviously utterly break the game from the beginning. And I think this is a good thing. It's still loot boxes in a game, so I'm still going to disagree with it on some level, but this is a step forwards for a company that tend to only step backwards.
I agree with that, and I'm very glad that at least they're taking this stance where it's like power should not be bought, and this is a stance that, to their everlasting credit, Blizzard has always stood by this mantra, and that's why in Overwatch you can't buy power, and that's why loot boxes in Overwatch never contain anything that's gameplay related. And I'm glad EA is sort of starting to see the light. I mean, you can still get stuff from loot boxes that affect gameplay, but they're not the most powerful stuff, which I don't know how big of a compromise it is, because a lot of times the things that are supposedly perceived by the developers as the most powerful stuff may end up not being the most broken stuff in the game. It's oftentimes, like, if card games are anything to go by, for example, it's usually the commons and uncommons that have, like, these very broken synergies to them. So it's not completely unheard of to say, like, maybe something that's considered lower level is actually quite annoying and frustrating and difficult to deal with.
And obviously, it as well does not remove the fact that out of the box, there's going to be some people that are going to be just that little bit stronger.
That's true.
So it still makes it an unfair balance from beginning. The fact that they've made it so they can't be unbelievably overpowered is, yeah, a step in the right direction, but they really need to work on, well, actually, they just need to remove loot boxes entirely, but that's just me. Because it just, I don't know. I mean, it might be, going back to something we were saying earlier in the podcast, it might be because I am from a previous generation of gamers, but I am very much of the thought process that my power should be earned. So that's why I love games like Dark Souls, because you start off weak as anything, and your power, you earn it as you go on. If you make a mistake and get killed, you lose a little bit of progress. But if you manage to make it back and get the stuff back again, you've earned it. That's why when games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne came out, I had a resurgence of really, really, really playing games, because I love the feeling of, what's the word for it? There's a word for it, but I can't remember what it is. But the feeling
of achievement?
Bingo, achievement. Thank you. I love that feeling when I've earned it. I think that is such a great feeling, and I don't understand why a lot of gamers wouldn't appreciate that feeling. overcoming an obstacle and succeeding under your own merit. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I couldn't agree more. I'm that classic gamer as well, and I miss that aspect of classic gaming as well. But, you know, there's always hope, because there are still, you know, devs out there who are willing to, like we said, do the good thing, do the right thing by gamers, and the people behind Shantae are no different. Okay, even though this is talking about DLC, this sounds like pretty good DLC for a game like Shantae Half Genie Hero. So right after now the recent DLC they had, which was you being able to play as Risky Boots in a non-canon type of story, which I have to say is absolutely amazingly fun. I have it already. But this next piece of DLC called Friends for Life, I think it is. Something like that. Friends till the end. Friends till the end.
Yeah, something like that. I do. Yeah.
You get to play as Sky, Bolo, and Rotty Tops all at the same time. Trine style. So it's basically like they're taking Trine and putting it into Shantae. You'll be able to play these 3 characters which have different abilities to get over obstacles and be able to, you know, traverse through the levels in a story that's canon. Like, you're going to be going through, you know, I don't know, did you play Half Genie Hero?
I haven't played Half Genie Hero yet.
All right. I'm not going to completely spoil it, but you get into the mind of, for some reason, you have to go into Shantae's mind to bring her back for a certain reason. And that is exactly what the whole DLC is going to be about, the whole story. The three friends going in to save their other friend.
That's fantastic.
It's fantastic, is it not? Like, completely changing the way you play the game in a completely unique and completely new way that, to be fair, after trying, nobody has really tried to really step into this type of platformer. I'm really excited.
I mean, let's not forget as well that, and this should be definitely impressed and should definitely, if they were to watch our podcast, be taken on board by Activision, EA, and many others I can mention. Half Genie Hero was a full, robust game on launch. And the DLC has expanded that. That's how DLC should work. Because from what I heard about Half Genie Hero, it was a fantastic game under its own merit. But then adding the Rotty Tops expansion and now this expansion onto it is only making that universe bigger.
I agree with you, and that's what DLC needs to be about. It needs to expand the game, not add things that it was supposed to have, like Breath of the Wild was supposed to have, I guess, a hard mode. But no, let's put it in the DLC. I don't know. Destiny 1 has been accused with its previous expansions that they basically just took content away from the base game and turned it into DLC. That's not what we need, guys. We need the game to expand. Not to just add things that it was missing. That's just silly. That's not how DLC is supposed to work.
No. And if Way Forward can do it, why can't anyone else?
Maybe people who don't have their heart anymore in the game and they have it mostly in the pocket. I don't know.
Yeah. In terms of hands in the pockets, though, Arxis. That was a dodgy segue, but we can go past it.
Yeah.
Arxis have opened a US office.
They're opening.
Yeah, opening. Sorry, they've announced rather that they're opening a US office. That's a very interesting piece of news. Very interesting, because Arxis haven't really taken control of their own publishing outside Japan, but now they are, which I think that has a lot to do with where Arxis currently lies in the grand scheme of fighting, like anime fighting games. Because if you think, I mean, they've been a kind of slow burner for years, working on popular but niche titles, so like Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. Popular but niche. But now, with Dragon Ball FighterZ, with BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, they are making this shift into severe, like, their popularity is going to explode early next year. Like, completely blow up.
I'm finding all of these new moves from Arxis like they're actually going for the jugular here. Seriously, this is this is incredible news because, first of all, Arxis, Dragon Ball, like taking on Dragon Ball with Bandai Namco to make a game that is accessible with an IP that is recognizable and accepted by a lot of people, even people who are not exactly anime fans, is an amazing move. And turning Cross Tag Battle into a game that is very accessible, it's going to have a lot of interesting new ideas that are for a new generation of gamers, because that's what I think about Cross Tag Battle. It's the one game that's going to push the genre forward into this new generation. And now opening an office in the US in order to cut their other distributors like P-Cube and
P-Cube is here.
P-Cube is in Europe, but that could mean that they want to expand in a way so they don't have to depend on these people, on these companies.
That would be good, actually, because P-Cube are slightly unreliable.
And who is their US distributor again?
Axis, isn't it?
Axis, yeah. Axis Gaming, yeah. They're going for the kill here. They're like, we're going to start establishing a little spider web in these areas because we want to be the big guys right now in fighting games. That is what they're going for, and I'm loving it. I'm just loving it.
The thing is, next year they will be the big boys, because you're completely right. I can't add anything to what you said about Dragon Ball FighterZ. You're completely and utterly right. It is an entirely recognizable franchise that they are making an accessible fighting game out of. That game, and also it's got a phenomenally, by the looks of things, robust story mode. So even casual players will have something in-depth and immersive to do. And with Cross Tag Battle, not only are they creating something that's immensely accessible, as you've said, but also they are taking the fans of 4 separate franchises, grabbing all 4 strings and pulling them all together. That game is going to have an incredible player base on launch. Because you will have the Unist, the P4 Arena, the BlazBlue players, and the fans of Ruby all going, oh, this is a game that has all of these people in it, and just drawing 4 fan bases together, and that's not even accounting for the fact there might be characters from outside those 4 franchises. And then that's additional fan bases they're pulling in. That's going to have an immense player base on launch.
And I'm loving it because they're picking out all of these franchises. And to be quite fair, even as anime, they don't feel like the anime waifu fighters, like people like to call them, which are very, like, you know, people are very like, oh, I don't want to touch that, figuratively and, you know, literally. But it's franchises that look and feel quite accessible and recognizable at the same time. Who doesn't know Persona 4 at this point? Who doesn't know BlazBlue? Unist might be a little less known, and Ruby's fan base is over there. They know that franchise, they recognize, but pulling them, like you said, all together is an incredibly amazing move, and it's going to be a crazy good game. Like, it just looks like it, and it screams quality. It screams like there's been a lot of tender love and care put into it.
And you can argue that for Dragon Ball FighterZ as well.
Yeah.
Having played Dragon Ball FighterZ on several occasions, and that's just the demo build, that's not the final build. That game is solidly made. As a demo, it's solidly made. It's just incredible that they've managed to put so much polish onto a game that's not even finished.
I can't wait to
put my hands on it. And then you look at Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, that has no polish, and it's released.
That's still a funny topic to always bring up again, like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I watched it at Habruken recently, and I wasn't impressed. I have to say I wasn't.
I played it.
I was mildly interested in Monster Hunter. She looked pretty cool, and she looked quite polished compared to the other fighters in the game. But it's still not enough to pull me in, sadly. But the fighting engine still looks great. I just can't believe that. I don't want to say Capcom again, but I can't believe Capcom can sit and make an engine like this, a great battle system, and then just completely mess up everything else. I don't understand this. I don't get it. I'll never understand it at all. Whew. Anywhoozers. Let's get into the big things before this next big thing we're going to talk about is, like, it's not been my favorite. This is by far one of the worst BlizzCons I've ever witnessed in my entire life. I have to say, Blizzard, you're not really the Blizzard I knew anymore. And this is me saying this years later after lots of other people before me have been saying it, that, you know, Blizzard has lost their touch. I've been standing my ground with Blizzard for years now, even after then that they're still pretty awesome and everything, but now this BlizzCon was a huge disappointment. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty here. All right, what has been announced? Hearthstone's new expansion. Okay, that was to be expected. They're introducing a new cool feature, which is a single-player mode feature, kind of a bit of a roguelite, in a Hearthstone sort of way, dungeon crawling card game kind of thing where you build up a new deck and you don't even need to have cards of your own to play this mode. It gives you its own cards. But it has no rewards. Nothing.
Oh.
Nothing. See, all of that excitement I just gave you, and it has no rewards.
Yeah, because you were talking about it and I was just like, oh, it sounded good, sounding better. Oh. Oh my god.
Why? So this is my problem with Blizzard and Hearthstone right now. It's like it's the least rewarding free-to-play game ever. It's an amazing card game, but it's not rewarding to people who want to free-to-play it. And it's very unforgiving as well, because if you don't have cards, you get matched up with people who have legendaries and epics, and it sucks. They don't give you avenues to get cards, even in a very, very slow, trickly sort of way. And this single-player mode sounded like a perfect opportunity to do this in a way that gets people to play and earn their packs and cards. But no. But you can get a card back if you complete the whole thing with all 9 classes. Great. Moving on. World of Warcraft, Battle for Azeroth, new expansion announced. Some exciting stuff for people who still play World of Warcraft. New races, things called battlefronts, 2 continents and stuff like that. Exciting things for people who currently play World of Warcraft. But nothing new.
That's still a lot of people, though.
That is a lot.
I know that you and I don't play WoW, but the people that do play WoW, that's still a very large amount of people.
I agree. That is a huge amount of people, but there's nothing new. Like, that's the theme that we're getting here. There's a lot of new stuff for existing games, but nothing new. And not for all the games, by the way. Not for all the games. I'll get to that in a moment. Overwatch gets a new hero, which looks pretty cool. I'm going to be honest. She's a support that can heal and do damage by draining life from their enemies and stuff like that. And a map called Blizzard World, which is supposed to be a map that's like a Blizzard theme park, which looks pretty cool as well. And a host of other skins and emotes and all that kind of stuff that they do. But, you know, just added things. Same with Heroes of the Storm. 2 new heroes there, Alexstrasza and Hanzo. And those look pretty cool. They look like pretty cool heroes, but yet again, new stuff for games that already exist. Diablo was a complete no-show, besides some panels discussing, you know, the art and direction of the game and how they made the Necromancer class, which was released several months ago. We knew that Diablo was going to be a no-show, but the question is, why? Where's Blizzard bringing new stuff, new games into the foreground here? What's going on? And I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty sure, I don't think the show's over yet, so maybe they have one of those, oh, one more thing kind of moments. I'm not sure. But so far, I'm unimpressed. The only exciting thing, StarCraft 2 has gone free to play.
See, StarCraft 2 is a game that I must admit I've never played, but I've heard so many things about. So free to play now gives me an opportunity to try it.
We should actually try it together and play together.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, they have this commander mode where you could actually co-op with another person and command the same army and some stuff like that. It sounds pretty interesting. We should give that a go sometime together. But yeah, StarCraft is one of those games that, you know, it's esports, but it's a very difficult type of esport to get into. I mean, you're rewarded for putting effort and commitment into it, and I think making it free to play is an amazing move. You can play the first campaign for free. You need to buy the additional ones, but you can go into versus mode for free. You can do the co-op mode for free with some of the commanders. You can play all the commanders up to a certain level, and there are only 3 of them that have no cap on their level for free. So you got 3 free commanders for as long as you want, and the rest have a level cap. And I think that's a really good deal for a free-to-play RTS, which, to be fair, it's not really heard of at this moment, an RTS that's free-to-play with a model like this. It's pretty good, I think. But it just comes to show that Blizzard might be kind of losing their edge here. Might.
Well, time will tell on that, because they might end up completely overturning all of this. They could end up having a massive showing early next year, or kind of around about E3, like mid next year, and then we could end up seeing a real turnaround. But I must admit, for a convention that is solely devoted to your brand, that does sound like a very lackluster amount of announcements.
BlizzCon was one of those things that I said I wish I could go. I would love to go one day. I definitely want to check it out. Even my wife and I, both of us, we would want to go to BlizzCon. This would not have been the BlizzCon I would have wanted to visit. Disappointment. That's all I have to say. And I don't know how other Blizzard fans are feeling about it right now. I'm just, yeah. I mean, I don't want people to misunderstand me here. A business is a business. You need to make money. I get it. And this is definitely a smart and solid way to make money. I still don't understand, though, if I don't feel like Blizzard anymore wants to be that pioneering, right up there company that makes things happen, that pushes the envelope in games that are familiar in a certain way. Or to bring back some beloved franchises, like, where's Warcraft 4? For God's sakes. Where is that? Give us Diablo 4. Give us something. Like something new. Even tell us we're working on it. Here's a little teaser for you. That would have been enough.
Basically what Nintendo did at E3.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Metroid Prime 4.
We all collectively lost our shit with that one.
Yes, that's true. At a logo, we did all lose our shit. That is very true.
A logo that is sitting on my desktop right now. That's how much I lost my shit that day. Anyway.
However, there wasn't entirely all disappointing conferences and announcements, was there? Because we had the Sony Paris Games Week conference as well, including the pre-show. That the pre-show had a lot of announcements. I'm talking a lot of announcements. I've forgotten most of them. I've remembered the ones that matter to me, but I've forgotten pretty much all the others. So I don't know, should we just go through games?
Let's go through games, trailers, announcements, everything. The whole shebang.
So Guacamelee 2. I mean, I personally was a massive fan of the first game. So the fact there's a sequel, I could not be happier about it.
I loved that trailer. That trailer was... I haven't played the first game. And
Play it.
It was...
Trust me.
That trailer really got me like, oh my god, this looks like such a fun game.
Yeah, the first one is brilliant as well. And also it's 2-player co-op.
Yeah.
O-Ray. I don't know if you remember this. Very Journey-like looking game. So in other words, one with a very pronounced art style, turning into a dragon, taking down great creatures. So kind of a cross between Journey and Shadow of the Colossus. Looked great. Looked fantastic. It's on the PSN now. I'm very tempted to pick it up.
It looks very serene.
I love games like that.
Looks very serene as a game. It's a very harmony, serene sort of kind of way. I think it looks great.
There was also, I think it's called The Gardens Between.
The Gardens?
Yeah. I think it's called The Gardens Between. The single player, 2-character kind of co-op game where you're controlling 2 characters and you have to kind of solve puzzles using the characters, and you can kind of turn back the clock a little bit and reverse time a little bit. Looks fantastic, like visually absolutely amazing, and as long as the kind of the puzzles are clever enough without being esoteric, that could be an incredible game.
Yeah, kind of sounded and reminded me a little bit of Brothers, which was a game I
very
thoroughly
similar to Brothers,
enjoyed.
kind of crossed by Braid. Like Brothers, so the 2-player co-op thing, well, 2-character co-op thing, mixed with Braid's kind of time traveling mechanic, and you've got kind of what the gardens between looks like. And visually, just a visually arresting game. Speaking of visually arresting, though, did you see? I think it's called Concrete Genie.
Oh yeah, Concrete Genie. Yeah, that looked really
I don't
interesting.
even know. I don't even know what what that game is supposed to be, and it looks great.
It seems to be a theme with trailers and new games lately. I mean, Kojima pioneered this now with Death Stranding, which was a no-show, by the way. And now they're Concrete Genie. We're not really sure what to expect from this.
It looks, to me, it looks like a kind of more somber Jet Set Radio.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. I could spin that. Yeah, definitely.
But I would like, I mean, if I had a dream idea I would like to be in Concrete Genie, it would be the ability to jump into your pictures and leave them. Because there's such kind of expansive worlds you're painting on the walls. It'd be nice to be able to go into those worlds to traverse as well. So similar to the sort of link between worlds becoming a painting mechanic.
Yes. Yes.
That would be fantastic if that was a thing. I know I've missed one. Spelunky 2 is the other indie announcement. I've never played the first Spelunky, but the Spelunky 2 looked great.
It looked really good. It looked really good. I didn't think Spelunky 1 felt very appealing to me, but this one looked a bit better. I think maybe give it a go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no harm giving these games a go. And I most definitely will. Then that was the pre-show, which was mostly indies, mostly new announcements as well. There was a lot of other announcements, but I've either forgotten them or... Oh, there was a lot of VR. That's why I've forgotten it. I do not like VR, as we have discussed on this podcast. But during the main show, it kicked off with Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima.
That looks incredible.
I'm blown away, man. Sucker Punch's new game. It looks amazing. I can't wait for this.
It looks absolutely incredible. And the first thing the only thing I was thinking watching that trailer is, if this game plays like a much prettier, much more fluid, and much more in-depth Tenchu Stealth Assassins, I'm in.
Yes.
I couldn't help but think of Tenchu Stealth Assassins. I was like, if that is a thing, I'm in.
Right? I am so in. And they're saying that it kind of have a bit of this ninja feel to it. I think there was like some fine print somewhere, get ready for some ninja action and stuff. And I was like, so what? This looks great. And it looks beautiful too. If all of that stuff was like in-game graphics, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, if that's in-game, I am 100% sold. It looked incredible. And also, it gives you a very good idea as to how the story is going to work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately for me, I mean, you may have appreciated this more than I did. The rest of the main showing was games we've already seen.
True.
It was all games, not only games we've already seen, but games that were announced at E3 2015. Pretty much.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's disappointing. I much preferred the pre-show than the main show. But we had, to list them off, we had Monster Hunter World, which I know you're very excited about.
Which was an incredible trailer. It showed us a lot more stuff. I mean, that game is gorgeous, and I'm just going to keep saying that this is a time for people to get into Monster Hunter if they haven't already, and that includes you, my friend.
I have tried Monster Hunter, and I didn't like it. However, that little bit at the end of the trailer where I found out that you could play as Aloy had me going, And it shouldn't be that a skin makes me want to play a game. I should not be that susceptible.
That's actually not a skin. That's actually armor that you wear that makes you look almost exactly like Aloy.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Okay. So, but oh my god, it's probably not going to happen. I've got way too much going on the beginning of next year. Come on, Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah, but
for instance,
I'm gonna be into that.
We also had God of War Babysitter Edition.
Yes.
I must admit, just from watching those trailers, that kid is annoying.
It's gonna be very annoying.
with all of his little quips whilst you're fighting. Like, no, that's a misstep.
A little
as
bit.
far as I can tell, that's a misstep.
But it looks beautiful.
It looks
beautiful
stunning.
violence.
It looks amazing. But I just can't help but feel like it's a bit of a misstep with the babysitting mechanic. Destiny 2 Expansion 1 has received a trailer and information, which I assume you would be hyped about.
I am quite hyped because it means basically, first of all, as an expansion, it feels so far with the info we have that it's going to be a much better expansion 1 than we got in Destiny 1. Because we're going to be on a whole new planet, on Mercury was a thing in Destiny 1, but you could only get there in a specific social space if you were like the top of the line, flawless PvP type of player. But now it's going to be its own planet with missions and other stuff like that to roam around. And it also will have a new social space, which will be the lighthouse that was the only place you could access in PvP in Destiny 1.
Okay, so it's adding quite a lot, to be fair.
And apparently it's adding a raid, which I am not fully confirmed about or anything like that yet, but apparently there's going to be a new raid in it. There are going to be new strikes, all of that stuff, new weapons, but they're also bringing back some exotic weapons from Destiny 1, including my all-time favorite gun, the Jade Rabbit. I am so excited.
See, you are hyped.
I am very hyped. The gun, I'm hyped for the gun. It's the one gun that once I get it, I am never changing it out.
Well, at least, to be fair, like, as I say, I don't play Destiny 2, but so all of this went, I was like, yeah, okay, looks okay, but I don't have any kind of resonance with it, so I wouldn't have noticed things that you did. However, I did notice some new things about the Spider-Man trailer. It appears, if I'm not mistaken, they've really reined back the QTEs.
Feels like it.
That new gameplay trailer looked a lot less QuickTime event than the previous one.
But see, that's the thing, is that I'm worried that all the boss battles are going to be QTE. That's what's worrying me about this game. The game looks amazing. It looks like the free roaming open world Spider-Man game that we would want to play. But please, for the love of God, don't make these boss battles all QT. I'm going to have a fit.
Yeah, because the thing is, it will reduce the boss fights to a very low achievement, really, in the grand scheme of things. They really should take more of a leaf out of Arkham's kind of book when it comes to how to do bosses with that sort of mechanical setup they've got.
Right.
Because Arkham had some very interesting bosses.
Yes. Make them mechanically interesting. Make them something very different, related with the environment and mechanics in the environment and stuff like that. That's cool. But if it's going to be all QT based, that just takes away from the achievement of it all, like you said.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. It's a shame, and I really hope they haven't gone too QTE heavy on it, because it looks like a great game, and if they have gone too QTE on it, it is going to be a little bit of a mess. Yeah. Also, another mess, Last of Us 2. Oh, wait, no. Wow, we got two messes to cover on this regard. Last of Us 2, that trailer was not good.
I might disagree a little bit, but I'd like to hear why you feel that way.
I've never played Last of Us, so I don't have any emotional attachment to the characters, so I can't be blinded by that like a lot of people are. But the first trailer for Last of Us 2, by the time I reached the end of that trailer, I was like, this looks interesting. I had no proof of concept, no idea outside the vague idea as to what Last of Us was like. And I got to the end of that trailer and I was like, yes, okay, this looks interesting at the very least. This trailer was just uncomfortable to watch. It's glorifying violence in a way that doesn't feel organic to me. It seemed like essentially just trying to make an impact rather than succeeding in making an impact.
See, I'm going to agree that it was uncomfortable. Like, the moment they picked up that hammer and just did what they did, I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but we are in an age right now where violence, very graphic violence, is very much becoming the norm on TV, movies, and like, you know, very in-your-face violence like that. For a trailer, I thought it was too much. But at the same time, it got me, a person who hasn't played the first Last of Us, very interested to play The Last of Us 1. Because I want to know, why is that world so brutal? I want to find out why that world is so brutal right now.
And this is how violence can resonate with people in different ways. For me, it puts me off. For you, it clearly intrigues you, and that obviously clearly the trailer succeeded in what it was trying to do. Then, really, it's
been a very divisive trailer. I'm not going to disagree. Although I have to say that some reactions that I've seen, like Polygon, that just went full on, oh my god, violence against women, blah, blah, blah. I was like, come on, guys, really? That's your takeaway from all of this? Like, either women are not given enough roles to show how strong or how great characters they are, or on the other hand, they got too much going on. I mean, decide, take your pick on this, please. I mean, if it was, would it be better if it was a guy getting his arms clipped off? I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand this. And we did see a lot of strength in women from this trailer alone, if you could agree with me.
I can agree with that. And I don't necessarily think the whole violence against women argument holds particular water here, but that is a very off-topic discussion.
It is a very off-topic discussion, and they had no reason to do that. Polygon.
But one game, and this is the final game that I remember from the Paris Games Week, which I think we can both agree was not particularly well received for multiple reasons. Detroit Beyond Human, or Become Human, or whatever stupid title David Cage has given it. I do not trust David Cage to appropriately approach the topic he's trying to broach in that trailer.
I was not impressed. No. I was just not impressed, to say the least. First of all, graphically, I don't think I was impressed by what I saw. Second of all, that whole story aspect of it really didn't resonate with me at all. I kind of wasn't really sure where this was all going, to be honest with you. And the trailer's supposed to kind of give me an idea of that, right?
It should. But let's remember here, this is David Cage. He is not the auteur he thinks he is. Every project he has been on, every project that he has ran, has been thematically messy.
Can you remind me a little bit what his portfolio is?
Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls. So basically all very heavily narrative-driven games, but with incredibly messy narrative. And also, more often than not, very misplaced directions in narrative. Fahrenheit is basically the first game of his I played. I'm not sure whether that's the first game he made, but that's the first game of his I played. And I really enjoyed it, but then he messed the narrative up. I was really enjoying it. I was very much into it. And then the narrative went haywire. And I was like, this is a mess. This is an incomprehensible mess. And from what I've heard, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, exactly the same thing. I do not trust. He wants to make a film. And if he did, it would be a crap film. But I'd say just let him make films and stop letting him make games.
That's the problem I feel with narratives in games, is that games need to be an interactive medium. And there's a reason I feel that games like, the interactive novels aren't really as popular as people would hope them to be or would expect them to be, because they become messy. Because you have to give the player options. And these options need to go somewhere. And to go somewhere, it starts becoming extremely convoluted for the story maker. Because here's the thing. As a story maker, as a storyteller, you have a direction that you want to go to, okay? But for a game, you have to create multiple directions. With multiple different outcomes. And it's... How are you supposed to do that when you want a very specific direction? That's why games that have multiple endings usually have the true quote-unquote ending, which is what the storyteller usually envisions for the story. But in this case, if it's so narratively driven with very few mechanics to make it a game, then that becomes problematic.
Yeah. And that's not even taking into account the problematic source material that he's decided to go with on this.
Yeah.
I do not think this is going to be a very good game, and I don't trust David Cage to make a good game. So let's just say Detroit, I'm not going to buy the game.
No.
Let's be clear. It's not going to be on my purchase list.
No, I would definitely, I'm not really sure if I would pick it up either. I mean, like I said, it really didn't impress me. I even forgot to include it in the notes here, just to give you an idea. It was kind of forgettable for me. But yeah.
So that was Paris Games Week.
That was Paris Games Week, and that's been the big news for the past week. Pretty interesting stuff. We got some cool stuff coming along. We got some bad stuff happening, but overall, it seems like the good is still outweighing the bad. So, win?
Definitely. I'd say it's definitely a win at the moment. This year has been great for games. Even with the little steps backwards there's been this year, it's been a very good year for games already. And we're not even finished yet.
We're not even finished. We're not even finished yet. And next week, because this is what you got to look forward to in the next Weekly Gaming Blast, we're going to be talking Xenoblade Direct, which is happening on Tuesday the 7th. Tuesday the 7th. Absolutely. Yes. So that's going to happen in the next Weekly Gaming Blast. So, yeah. That's going to be this week's Gaming Blast. If you want more from myself and from Rue the Gamer over here, you can check us out on the Twitters. And by the way, I hope you're all enjoying the new overlay. Thanks to our awesome designer, Charlie, all the way from Thailand. Thank you so much, man, for doing this and for rushing in to send this to me today because, yeah, we had a bit of a mix-up with the files. So, awesome, as usual. Thank you so much. So, yeah, Rue, you got anything to share with everybody?
I've got a couple of things. My most recent video on YouTube has gone up at time of recording, so that's Sunday, but there will be another video on YouTube by the time this video goes live. My review of Earth Atlantis is viewable on ruethegamer.com, as well as I will have a review of the incredible little really micro Switch indie title Night Terrors. I'll have a review of that up probably by the time this video posts as well.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. I'll check that out for sure. And of course you can get all of Ruben's content right there on ruethegamer.com. As for me, by now, some of you might have already watched my recent Let's Play, which was me beginning my journey into Bloodborne, which I have to say was really, really interesting, and a lot scarier in some cases than Dark Souls. But
that gif of you panicking which you posted on Twitter, is one of my favorite gifs I've seen.
I genuinely shit my pants there. It was crazy how it happened. I thought this has to go on Twitter. Yeah, really good stuff. And, you know, plenty of reactions and other stuff happening. So by the time this video is up, maybe there's going to be a bit more. But again, like I said, not promising until the 20th of November because I got another boss to fight until then. Yeah. So, yeah, that's gonna do it for this week's weekly gaming blast. Yeah, we said that you could get your stuff on ruethegamer.com. For mine, you can go to my new custom domain on YouTube, which will be youtube.com/c/AkibanaZero. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this week. I hope you all have a good week, and we'll catch you next time.
See you soon.